Welcome, everyone, to the Leadership Florida podcast called The Leadership Exchange. I am so excited as my guest today is Bethany Swonson McAlister from the Northwest region in Florida and Connect Class 12. She is the Director of Public and Government Affairs for Florida in Walmart. We are so excited, Bethany, to welcome you today.
Thanks for having me, Wendy. Excited to be here with you and the team.
Oh, it's so good. And I love talking about Walmart and all the fun things. So I'll love to start. Our podcast sponsor is Sunshine Ace Hardware. And their motto that we all know is Ace is the place with the helpful hardware folks. I can sing that in my head. From that similar theme, I would want you to finish this sentence for me. Walmart is the place with.
I would say Walmart's the place with people, prices, and partnerships that we aim to help families save money, live better, and feel supported close to their own home.
Oh, I love that. And I've read Sam Walton's book. I actually listened to it to hear him tell it because he was really a great storyteller
Yes,
and
it was.
love the story of Walmart from start to today. And it's so great. And it's also very personal to all of us now because unlike a couple of decades ago, there's a Walmart near us just about everywhere. So I want you to tell us, just give us a high level overview of Walmart, especially for Florida, kind of your 411, so to speak, your geographic reach, customer base, your mission. Tell us a little bit about Walmart and surprise us. There may be something we don't know about.
If you haven't read the Sam Walton biography, it is, I would say, for anybody and everyone can get something from it. And for our company, one thing hasn't changed since he created it. After several failures as well, I'll say in his 40s is when he actually was able to make Walmart and become a successful businessman. And one of the reasons why is because he's always been focused on how the business can be people led. So many other things continue to change since he's created it several decades ago. We are much more tech powered, and now we see ourselves as an omni-channel retailer. So, in simple terms, that means how can we make sure people are always in the forefront of how we save money and make people live better, hopefully. But globally, that changes every day of how we're using technology, innovations to serve the 280 million customers we see worldwide. We have about 11,000 stores in 19 countries, people don't realize, across the globe. So it's a global Walmart Inc. And there's a lot of different other businesses than just Walmart and Sam's. Those are the two main or kind of entities that are in Florida, though, when you think of Walmart here in local terms. We have about 390 Walmart and Sam's clubs locally across 54 different counties in Florida. And we employ about 120,000 associates across the state, with millions coming into our stores weekly. So we really understand that we are Floridians at our core here in the state. Our customers are our neighbors. Also, our stores, we hope and aim to try to be a part of the daily rhythm we see across all the Floridian communities across the state. And I think everybody that has gone through Leadership Florida will know Florida is 5 states and 1 country. Yes, Miami, you get your own country. And we see that across all of our different stores and footprints in Florida in the 390 stores that we have.
That's incredible. I had no idea of your numbers were that big. And I am so impressed with how you've kept up with trends. And of course, now you're doing great delivery. I've taken advantage of that. In fact, the other day I was in my Walmart store in Tallahassee near my home, and there was a kind of a door that was cracked open in near one of the sections, which may have been part of the actual original store, but now it's like this delivery center. And I
Yes.
peeked my head through, and it was like this the busiest little bees were in there with trays, and they were moving things around, and there were bays in the outside. And I'm sure what I was looking at was delivery sections, and people were getting ready to send things around town, which was not even there when that Walmart was built. Probably, I don't know, maybe it's been there 20 years now. And I know you've reconfigured that whole space. So what else is hot and trending that you're doing and taking advantage of with your Walmarts?
What you're kind of describing is the trend that I think all retailers have seen. Customers continue to see value. Affordability, I think 9 out of 10 individuals you ask is top of mind. Doesn't matter their political background, where they live, and they want convenience and access. And I think getting trust from where they're having trust from the company that they're purchasing those goods are really important. And so for us, what's been trending of how do we gain that trust? How do we meet the customer in the most convenient and most affordable way that we can? Is stopping and seeing how we're using our store current footprint and evolving them. So out of the 390 stores in the next 5 years, every single store, not in Florida, but across the nation, is actually going through their own total remodel. The one in Thomasville Road in Tallahassee did have we call it a formal re-grand opening, where we're either building onto the store or repurposing part of the store with their own, we call it OPD, as everyone loves acronyms, online pickup and delivery. So we are probably within 90% of all Americans live 10 miles from a Walmart. But one fun thing, if anyone knows where the Forgotten Coast is, Panacea, Franklin County, you can actually now get Walmart delivered to your house in Panacea, Florida, from the Crawfordville Walmart because of the online pickup delivery mechanism and what we've built in and we've remodeled into that store. And you're going to see that, and it's already in every single store across our footprint across the state. And we're going to continue to figure out how we lead our tech-powered company now, focusing on what people want and having better stores, better pickup and delivery methods. Also, our digital tools. Whether you're shopping in line and you just don't know where something is, you can open up the Walmart app and it actually will say, hey, we can tell you're in a Walmart store. Do you want to use this like you're shopping in Walmart? And if you say yes, you'll say, hey, I'm looking for this toothpaste my son really likes. It will say, hey, it's on aisle A12 towards the back. And you can go and find that toothpaste instead of having to stop or look around. So we're finding small innovations like that, but we're also thinking big. So across the footprint, Florida is one of 5 stores. We're launching drones. Those will be launched at the end of this month in Central Florida, as well as going to be in South Florida the next year. We're also looking how can we as a business have an electrical vehicle infrastructure to help with the needs and the demands. And I think in Florida in particular will be very needed during any type of evacuation need during a hurricane, and making sure we can step up and be part of that infrastructure need that we understand is needed across the demand of just more people wanting EV cars. So where it makes sense, we're leaning into using some of those innovations and also figuring out ways that we can utilize our pharmacy and health associates and communities that rely on us. A lot of times we're the first touch point to any health professional in a rural community, especially in Florida.
Wow, that's really neat. Your pharmacy too is something that's really working well. That I don't know is in the very first imaginations of Walmart, but it's certainly a big part of you now.
Yeah.
And in fact, I needed it recently because I had something that was normally sent to my home, but I was going to be away, and I
Yep.
didn't, and it needed to be refrigerated, and I did not need it to be sitting on my front
Yep.
porch. So I switched really quickly to Walmart and was able to have it sitting there until I could get home to pick it up. It really worked very well. So there's lots of different ways that we're using your technology and your innovations and how you're expanding your customer needs. And that was a very clear one that it needed to work for me, and that's what's important. And of course, when I went in that store to pick that up, what do you think I did? Of course, I shopped and bought many other things, some of which I may or may not have bought that particular week had I not walked into your store, because so you know that very well that pharmacy works for lots of ways where you have stores that have multiple purposes. One of the
It's
things that
important. I
our
think
list,
what you're
oh,
kind of
go ahead.
explaining, Wendy, is how can we use innovation and technology like home delivery of pharmacy goods to not make it more robotic, but feel more human and more easier for your daily lives. As a working woman, you have a lot of grandkids. I know for myself, I don't know how sometimes I would get my kids drugs that they need and prescriptions and the food on the table to make sure everyone's not going without lunch to the day every day if I didn't have Walmart come to my house. There's just not enough time always for all of us. So we're figuring out ways how we can do 3 things at once. You can take care of getting your pharmacies sent to your house. You can have the milk that you need for the bottle in the morning. You also can get sent, the lunch box that you need filled for your kids starting school in August, all in one delivery in one day, and you don't even have to leave your home anymore. And that makes it feel less, I think, take less things off people's shoulders, but still get what they need in the easiest form, which is super important for us.
Yeah, it's really amazing. I mean, our lives, we're getting back time, and that's one thing you can't have enough of is it's giving us more time in our life. And that is the most precious thing ever, is you absolutely, All right, so I know our members are very interested in one thing. They want to know, where are you opening a new Walmart soon? So do you have a list of new Walmart stores that are going to be opening up soon?
Yeah, I do. I have it right over here. And I'll give a little bit more context to when I started this job about 2 years ago, Walmart hadn't opened new stores in about 12 years. In 2024, we actually opened up our first store, and it was in Santa Rosa Beach. So that was the first new store out of a whole 5-year plan where Walmart is opening 150 new stores across the nation. Since then, we've opened up 7 in Florida. In the Santa Rosa is the first. In 2025, we had Milton and Pace. And then in 2026, so far, we've opened Ocala, Apollo Beach, Jacksonville, Oakleaf area, and one in the Villages. And there's 7 more coming. Actually, Lady Lakes, it opened up, I think, 2 weeks ago. That's outside the Villages as well. So 6 more coming this year. There'll be one in Crestview, another one in the Villages, one in Spring Hill, Ocoee, St. Augustine, Davenport. Davenport is actually the first Sam's and Walmart combo opening, and will be the first new Sam's Club opening in the state. It might even actually be one of the first new Sam's opening up in the nation. I have to check. And then Fort Myers. So those are all going to be happening in the next, 6 months. But a fun thing I know I can say is we have about 40 different stores we're looking at opening in Florida. It's a big growth area. I think a
Unbelievable.
challenge everyone's feeling is Florida is growing fast, has grown fast, and that comes with real pressure. And we've been trying to grow with Florida in a responsible way and earn the trust of the communities that we're serving, but also work hand in hand with our local elected officials and our nonprofits and the community of figuring out what they need if we are going to be growing with them, as Florida has seen in the last several years.
That is just amazing. Wow, I had no idea your growth would be on that kind of trend and
Yeah.
so fast. It's just wonderful to hear. And it's helping the economy, you're employing people. There are so many things. You'll be able to get products to people faster, I'm sure, through delivery or them visiting your store. It's just all of our lives will change and improve as a result of that. So that's kudos to you. That's fantastic. All right, so let's change a little bit, sort of the opposite. What is your biggest challenge in the business that you have that you're facing today?
Oh, every day has a challenge of their own, right? Rent's due, and you got to pay it every day. So this job's fun because I get to do all the local and the statewide components of what happens. And I think for us, it's being able to show up at an operation level, that's our stores, in the way and the values that Walmart we know internally. But how do we make sure we're partnering consistently, early, and strategically in Florida in a way that makes sense with those 5 different states and different country in South Florida? And that means we have to think in a broad and very specific manner of how we tie into each community. And I would say for Florida, for us, we've kind of narrowed it down for a couple main components. Whether it's in Panhandle, it's very military, right? So how can we show up for our military and veteran communities with a state that has over 20 bases? How do we also make sure that we have affordability and access top of mind, whether that's the working families or the teachers that need good, or it's the individuals who need prescription in rural areas and they need access to it. Also, Florida, safe and healthy and resilient communities are top of mind. Hurricanes happen. We have fires that happen. And for us, it's in those seasons. I know I'm gearing up of knocking on wood, there's not a hurricane, but if there is, just in the last several years, we haven't had a hurricane in 2 years. I think Walmart did over 40 some $millions to the states impacted by hurricanes,
Wow.
and several of millions of those went into Florida when we were hit with those 3 storms 2 years ago. So we're always looking for every day what are the needs in the community, and specializing and prioritizing them for what those differences are. And it's so different from Pensacola down to our Miami stores and in between even. And so it's been fun to work with our market managers and all of our community partners. But I would say that challenge is making sure we're taking the time and personalizing it for whatever the Florida need is in that area.
Well, I love that you're doing that. And I know your local managers are on top of the local trends too, and feeding that information up through your channels so that they're responding as well. And it's really great to have to make each Walmart feel as local as possible. And the needs are very different, as you described, from rural to, military to big city. It's all very unique. All right, my last question is about Walmart as an employer. So you've been there for a little bit now, and what a great choice they made in appointing you in this great role because you're so perfect for it and a good fit. How how do you feel as an employee, as a team member, an associate of Walmart? What do you love most working for them?
I don't know if there's one. I think there's a few. When I came into this role, my predecessor I have deep respect for. I thought she had been here forever, and it was 11 years. I've realized working with the people hand in hand every day, majority of our associates and employees have actually worked 15, 20 plus years. We're a big company, but 75% of those salaried workers, whether it's from store, club, or supply and change management, they all started in hourly roles. Our CEOs were, interns pushing carts in the beginning. And it's been really neat to see how there are so many different professional career paths that can happen with so much change of opportunity, but within the company. And there's so many of these local stories I hear about associates within this mega company that make it understanding that we're smaller than we think, and it is all about being people led. For me, I know I accepted the job and did not know I was pregnant, and came in recognizing I was going to go out the week before session. And that was a little terrifying, but they were so supportive. And the neat thing that I get to brag about the company personally and for everyone, whether you're a dad or a mom, and however you become a parent in that journey, you get 22 weeks off. And I know not
Oh,
all companies
wow.
get that, but they recognize that we don't just want to serve families, we also want to employ families and be supportive of whatever parental role you have. And that's shown in so many ways daily. And it's been a surprise, but maybe not, it shouldn't have been a surprise of how well and how many great benefits they provide to us so that we can be the best versions of ourselves when we're supporting our customers. And I think that really matters. And it starts from the top leadership always and all the way down for me. And even when I meet associates in stores, they feel it. They feel ownership in the company because they treat us well and they invest in us as an employer and our employees. And I think you can see that across the company, really in the last 10 years too. There's been a good story about our past CEO, what he's done, and they've done research. We don't have to get into it, but it shows when you pour in, it really helps you pour out to those that you're serving.
That's really great. I really appreciate hearing how good they are. It's just important to take care of our special needs that are different as
Yeah.
well. So it's really, really great. This has been a wonderful conversation. Thank you so much for joining us, everyone. We've been with Bethany Swonson McAlister from Walmart. Thank you so much for listening and viewing. That was such a great conversation with Bethany, Director of Public and Government Affairs for Florida with Walmart, and she's a member of our Connect Class 12 and the Northwest region. Wow, she gave us a lot of great information. 390 Walmart and Sam's Club stores in Florida. I can't even imagine. 120,000 associates they employ. That's amazing. And they're located in 54 of the 67 counties in Florida. And they're adding about 10 new stores soon. And she shares those stores with us, which is really, really incredible. What a great organization. They also shared with us that this is surprising to me. Majority of people who work there do so for 10 to 15 years. Thank you so much for joining us on this episode of Leadership Exchange, hosted by Leadership Florida and sponsored by Sunshine Ace Hardware.